Texas takeaways and what it might mean for the Illinois primary coming up on March 20th. I'm with Tom Bevan, the co-founder of Real Clear Politics. Tom, the Tuesday Texas primary was the first in the nation. Illinois is the second primary in the nation. So everyone's kind of looking at these two states as laboratories of what it might mean in the bigger story of what does this mean for the Democratic Party internally with their feuds, and whether or not it really means if there's going to be some blue wave coming in America. So give me some of your takeaways of what you think the races there meant.
Well, obviously two very different states, but in Texas there was a lot of talk about the early vote and Democrats' enthusiasm and whether this was, Democrats have had a dream of turning Texas blue for years. While they did have decent turnout, more Democrats voted statewide there on Tuesday in the governor's race and the Senate race than before, still fell 500,000 votes short of Republicans. So still very much an uphill climb for Beto O'Rourke, the Democrat who won the nomination there to take down Ted Cruz in the fall. Certainly Governor Abbott is a heavy favorite for re-election.
Right, so I know a lot was made about this insurgency of Democrats, and there is one congressional race in particular where there is an internal feud. And this could mirror perhaps the race in Illinois where you have in the 3rd congressional district where Democrats have a divide between the Dan Lipinski Democrats and the Marie Newman Democrats in our primary. And there is much to be made of whether or not the more progressive candidate in this Texas District 7 could advance to a runoff. They have a little different system in Texas, and whether or not the Democratic House campaign operation should have intervened in the way they did. So when you look to see if this portends a progressive wave, what lessons might we have learned from Texas to bring to Illinois in a few weeks?
Yeah, certainly there's a schism that has been exposed among the Democratic Party, and we saw it in Texas 7 where you had the DCCC, the congressional arm of the House Democrats, release opposition research against Laura Moser, who's the more progressive candidate, trying to really undercut her candidacy. She did make it into the runoff, so there'll be 6 more weeks of feuding down in Texas. But we've seen the same thing here with Lipinski and Marie Newman, where you had sitting members of the House, Dan Lipinski's fellow colleagues, come out and endorse, and Luis Gutierrez.
And that is pretty rare.
That's pretty rare. I thought Dan Lipinski said, well, at least they did it in public this time because they've kind of done it privately before. But yeah, this is very rare, and it's happening. We see it in California with Dianne Feinstein trying to, not receiving the endorsement of the state Democratic Party, a rebuke there. So this is happening all across the country, and we'll have to see whether it results. In some ways, it's a mirror image of the Tea Party, that Republicans' insurgency that they felt in 2010. They ended up nominating some candidates who ended up not being electable in the general election, cost them a few Senate seats.
Right, so one of the things we're going to look for, let's try and tick them off, on March 20, Illinois. Yeah. So we had record number of women in Texas running. We have a lot of women running in Illinois. We know we'll have a female attorney general, likely. And we know that on the Republican side they will. Democrats, we'll see in that one. The takeaway I have is that the Democrats in Illinois are running to the left of the left, and this is the test to see if the progressives in Illinois really have united to make a difference. The indivisibles, the resistance, and everything else. As we're kind of coming to the close of this segment, Tom, give me 1, 2, 3 lessons to watch for in Illinois based on Texas.
One of the things about Texas that we saw in a lot of these congressional campaign districts is the people who had the most money didn't even make the runoffs. They finished 3rd and 4th. Less than one. You've got J.B. Pritzker spent $63 million and still has not necessarily been able to put away his challengers to the left. So watch out for that, because that's one of the things that I think this race is still open. He's still spending tons of money here with just a couple of weeks left, which leads me to believe that it might be closer than the polls suggest.
Okay, so as we close out, we'll find out, will the candidates who spend the most money win, and we'll also see what the progressive movement really means in mustering numbers to make a difference in the March 20th Illinois primary. Tom Bevan from Real Clear Politics, thanks so much for joining me.
You bet.